Okay, Saski, I think it's already 2 p.m. We can start our events today. Oh. Bu Neng, Saski kemana ya?
Saski sebentar, Pak.
Sang masih di breakout room deh Pak katanya.
Oh,
Ditutup aja breakout room-nya.
oh ya, bulan punten biasa di close. Oh, udah.
Sudah ada.
Okay, Saski, we can start our event today.
Okay, sure. I'm sorry, there's some technical mistakes. So, okay, let's start the event. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon to our speaker, Dr. BJARNE SORENSEN, Ph.D., the Dean of Padjadjaran University, Faculty of Economic and Business, Professor Dr. Nunui Nur Alfia, SAMSE AKCA, the Head of Undergraduate Accounting Program, Padjadjaran University, Faculty of Economic and Business, Mr. Citra Sukmadilaga, Ph.D. AK, CACP, QRMP, ERMCP, and our moderator for today's event, Mrs. EVITA PUSPITASARI, SAMSE AKCA, CWMCRP, and all the respectable participants of today's lecture. Thank you very much for joining this general lecture. I'm super excited to have you here and insightful session we will have today. I'm Saskia Salmana and I will be the MC for today's event. Now, before we begin, just a quick note, this session will be recorded and live streamed through FEB Unpad account YouTube. So today we are pleased to welcome a very special speaker, Dr. BJARNE Sorensen, PhD. He is the CEO of Siemens Denmark. He is also a guest lecturer at several universities, including Aarhus University, Copenhagen Business School, and also Padjadjaran University. He is here today to share with us on how digitalization is changing business in the future. This is a very interesting topic, so I would really hope that all of you are going to actively participate during this class, and do not hesitate. If you have any questions on mind, you can write it on chat box or asking it directly during the Q&A session. And now, first of all, let me introduce the head of Undergraduate Accounting Program, Mr. Citra Sukmadilaga, PhD, AK, CACP, QRMP, ERMCP, to give a welcome speech. Please give a welcome to Mr. Citra Sukmadilaga.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Saski. Everybody can hear my voice?
Yes, we can hear it clearly.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Professor Nunui Nur Alfia, Dean of the Faculty of Economics and Business at Universitas Padjadjaran, the CEO of Siemens in Denmark and Managing Director of Digital Industry, Dr. BJARNE Sorensen, moderator of this general lecture, Ms. EVITA PUSPITASARI, faculty management members, lecturers, staffs, students, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Firstly, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the general lecture of Dr. BJARNE Sorensen, a distinguished professional from digital business industry, on how digitalization is changing business in the future. This lecture aims to give true insight to all students regarding the impact of digitalizations on business and accounting professions. Digital technology impact not only the strategic focus on the company, but it also affects the business models, competitive advantages, and approach to market. Moreover, there is a significant influence of digital technology on accounting informations and other management control systems. The traditional accounting essentials have been well established for many years, yet they barely changed over time, while the industry has been evolving ever since, causing shift in both accountant coverage and client expectations. Specifically related to digitalizations, repetitive procedures in accounting simply can be alleviated by advanced computer systems. With these continuous technological advancements, according to research, among 700 jobs that are at risk by automations, the accounting profession is at the top of the list, indicating that the profession could easily be fully automated. Consequently, These views should transform the fundamental of how accountants think and work. While digitalization potentially could take over the job, many studies also show that digital solutions and automations can act only as complements rather than replacement, as the core accounting tasks still require critical thinking and creativity. This perspective essentially would also seize the opportunity to develop technologies that further facilitate and enhance our professions as consultant and accounting engineers. Thus, we are honored to have Dr. Sorensen now to share his knowledge and experience in digitalization impact on business. Dr. Sorensen started his professional career back in 1998 as corporate account manager in Siemens, Germany, and currently he is the CEO of Siemens in Denmark. He then earned his Ph.D. in 2018, and he has become a guest lecturer at Aarhus University, Copenhagen Business School, and Universitas Padjadjaran. Lastly, as the head of accounting undergraduate program myself, I hope that this lecture will expand our knowledge, especially for the undergraduate students at the Faculty of Economic and Business, in further understanding of digitalization's impact on business. Now, please join me in welcoming Dr. BJARNE LYKKE SORENSEN. Thank you, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Go back to you, Saski.
Thank you very much, Mr. Citra Sukadilaga. And now to commence our proceeding for the day, it is indeed a pleasure to invite the Dean of Faculty of Economic and Business Padjadjaran University, Professor Dr. Nunui Nur Afiah, SAMSD AKCA, to deliver the opening speech. Please give a welcome to Professor Dr. Nunui.
Okay, thank you, Saskia. Yeah. Okay, the Honorable CEO Siemens for Denmark and Managing Director for Digital Industry, Dr. BJARNE LYKKE SORENSEN, Ph.D., and then all the Honorable Faculty Management Member, and then lecturer, staff, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I take this opportunity to warmly welcome you all to Faculty of Economic and Business Universitas Padjadjaran. We are indeed very happy and pleased that you are able to spare your weekend to attend this general lecture on how digitalization is changing the business in the future for those who wish to engage in digitalization. I would thank to our speaker, Dr. BJARNE LYKKE SORENSEN, for honoring our invitation and accepting to join us. The objective of the general lecture are to give an insight for participants about impact of digitalization on business progress, to highlight the participant how digitalization could shifting the business model and profession. Digitalization has found its way into almost every business today. And if you aren't leveraging the digital technologies, chances are your business isn't going to succeed. Yeah, many companies have already decided to digitalize their business process and have experienced some serious benefit. They have improved the efficiency or their operation and even successfully automated a large number of processes. Furthermore, I expect that the general lecture will break ground for active engagement of everyone and especially the student in Faculty of Economic and Business, as well as elicit discussion that will engage the faculty's student in learning future business. Indeed, it is my sincere hope that at the end of today's lecture, the participant will have developed a deep understanding, knowledge in digitalization, and increase the interest to do some research in the future regarding this topic. So given the international experience and expertise of Dr. Bjarne Sorensen with us here today, I envision that the general lecture will be very exciting and very informative. Dr. Sorensen, you are indeed a great resource to us. We are proud to be associated with you. Thank you very much, Dr. Bjarne. And then it is now my pleasure to declare this general lecture officially open and to invite our guest speaker, Dr. Bjarne Sorensen, to make his presentation. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Salam.
Thank you very much for the wonderful opening speech, Professor Dr. Nunui. Now, before we start to the main event, we would like to invite all the participants to turn on your cameras and joining us on virtual photo shoot session. This would be led by Mrs. Wulan and also by me. So, Mrs. Wulan, are you ready to capture all the pages? Please, for all the participants to turn on the cameras so we can have memories and photos to be recorded.
Okay, hello everyone. I will lead for the photo session. There is about 6 slides. We start from the first one.
Okay, we started the first one. Please announce the timing of the photo, Mrs. Wulan. Thank you very much.
Next slide.
Next slide.
Okay.
And then
Last
the
one.
third slide.
It's all done. Thank you, Ms. Saski.
Thank you, Mrs. Wulan. Now, without further ado, we would like to welcome Mrs. EVITA PUSPITASARI, SA, MSc, AK, CA, CWM, CRP, as the moderator for today's lecture. She is the lecturer of Accounting Department, Faculty of Economics and Business, Padjadjaran University, Audit Committee member of Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, and Financial Accounting Consultant. Please give a welcome to Mrs. EVITA PUSPITASARI.
And
Okay,
also,
thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Supervision of Dr. Bjarne. Yeah, I introduce you.
Yes, thank you, Prof. Nunui, for reminding me. Actually, I'm very nervous today when Aga asked me to become today's webinar moderator, but I will take this as an opportunity to also to see my beloved supervisor, Dr. Bjarne Sorensen. How are you, sir? Thank you very much for attending this webinar today. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. But perhaps before I start the session, the general lecture given by Mr. Bjarne, Dr. Bjarne, perhaps I would like to remind you that the audience, when the speakers start the lecturing, perhaps you could mute your microphone, and later we are going to have the question and answer session later, and you can raise your perhaps. I would like you, audience, to put the questions first in the chat, okay, and based on the timelines, then I will ask the audience to directly ask the question to Mr. Bjarne. My name is EVITA PUSPITASARI. Thank you for the opportunity becoming the moderator of today's webinar. Okay, Without further ado, I think both Pak Aga and both also Prof. Nunoy already introduced Mr. Dr. BJARNE SORENSEN. Okay, currently he is the managing director of Siemens Digital Industry Operating Company Nordics and Baltics at Siemens Copenhagen area, capital region Denmark. And beside having this the work becoming the managing director, Mr. BJARNE also have the time to give the experience as a lecturer, yeah, Prof. Dr. BJARNE, yeah. Currently, he also becoming the lecturer in the Copenhagen Business School, yeah, and also becoming the associate lecturer in doctoral ilmu akuntansi in Unpad, and also becoming my supervisor. Okay, so I think without further ado, Mr. BJARNE, you have about 45 up to 60 minutes to give your lecturing, and after that we are going to have the question and answer session. Okay, the time is yours, Mr. BJARNE.
First of all, thanks a lot. I hope you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Oh, that is super. So that's amazing. I'm sitting here in Denmark, very far away, and we can have this kind of meeting. It just shows how digitalization gives new opportunities. Thanks for the introduction, and also thanks for the invitation. It's a big honor for me to talk here today and give a speech, and then about a topic which is interesting. Very interesting. It is changing companies. It is changing the way all of us works, and it's also changing the way business is done. And also for Siemens, where we work a lot with digitalization, this is super interesting. A comment before I start is that I am from Denmark, and I'm sitting in Denmark now, and Denmark is actually one of the most digitalized countries in the world. And it's interesting that even we are one of the most digitalized countries in the world, we actually have a huge lack of employees in Denmark. It's nearly zero unemployment, and actually we really have a lack of many types of skilled people. So that's interesting to see that even you have a very digitalized community, it doesn't mean that you don't need people. Perhaps very much the future is that it goes hand in hand. Good. I'll try to share, and then let us hope that it will go good. Yeah, I hope that you can see how digitalization is changing business. Somebody is a little bit saying yes, so I think you can see it. Good. And also thanks for the introduction. There's not so much more for me to add to that one, as I'm both having a business responsibility in our digital industries, which is digitalization of companies and industries, and then I'm also at the same time CEO for Siemens in Denmark, and Siemens in Denmark is actually pretty big. And then also give a little bit of talk about what we are doing in Indonesia to everyone, and then I have always had an interest of being a part of the university environment. I'm originally a Master of Science, and then afterwards later I took my Ph.D. and in the meantime I actually taught and in universities the last 25 years. So and it's a big honor for me that I'm also have the opportunity to come and do some teaching and lectures, and even having some good students there in the doctoral program. So I'm looking forward to come back to Indonesia again. And I just learned actually that now it's possible for foreign people to come back to Indonesia. It has not been that easy for a period of time, but I have learned that so I'll definitely try to be there. Good. I think that was a little bit the introduction. Then I would like to give some words about Siemens. Perhaps all of you know Siemens, I hope, but I will still put a few words on it, and then I will deep dive into the digitalization topic. Let us see if we can get to change here. One sec. I will see if I can get this one to change. I'll probably stop sharing here. One sec, I'll be back. Good. I hope you're now seeing providing technology solutions. So now I think this is also working. Good. Just a very short introduction to Siemens. Siemens is a pretty big global company, and you can say that we are actively in let us call it three areas. There's the health care area, where we in hospitals equipment like CT and MR scanners and other kind of equipment for hospitals, Siemens Healthineers. It is, by the way, also put as a own company, which is also noted on the stock exchange. And then we have Siemens, you could call it the core activities, which is very much about efficient infrastructure. It's about industrialization in companies, digital transformation of industry, and also mobility activities is there, like train and intelligent train systems. And then Siemens Energy, which is everything from wind turbines, but also distributed energy systems. And regarding Siemens Energy, it is also on the stock exchange, so that's also possible to buy stocks. And in that one, you could call that core Siemens, only having a minority shareholder, whereas the majority shareholder in Siemens Healthineers. So you could say that is the areas where we are active. Good. A little bit of a deep dive into some of the companies. What I'm representing and have worked with a lot is Digital Industries, and that's basically about making digitalization of companies. And you could say, if some of you, of course, know now accounting, many of you knows SAP ERP systems, and then you could say that if you take a company, first you have the ERP systems, and then one point in time you shift over and you go out to the production and this kind, and there it will typically be Siemens who will be there. It will also be some Siemens software which can be used to designing products and designing factories. Smart infrastructure is here's actually a good picture of a charging system for electrical cars. That's a good example, but smart infrastructure is also active with heat, ventilation, building systems, mobility, train, and then actually what's a little bit interesting, if you take all these three activities here, mobility, smart infrastructure, they are very important in this transformation of not using fossil fuels anymore, because to be able to do that, we need to have an electrified society. And if we need electricity all over, we need to drive electrical trains, we need to drive in electrical cars, and we also need to optimize our production. Then we have some consulting activities and some portfolio companies, and then we have Siemens Healthineers, as I talked about before, doing in the healthcare sectors. And then, of course, you have the countries, and you have some service and governance. And the reason why I have not put the Siemens Energy into it is that Siemens Energy is a little bit separately set up. Good. Then we have a long-standing relationship with Indonesia. Actually, a 166 years relationship with Indonesia, and we are super proud of that. We started with a telegraph in 1855. That's some years ago. And then there have been different activities, and we are of course also very active today, and also having an office, by the way, in Bandung. So we are proud of that. We have been there in many years, and a part of changing and digitalizing the Indonesian society. Good. A little bit more or less my last one about Siemens, and that's about what is our 4 strategic priorities. And here you see, as a big company, what is actually what we are mainly doing. And so first of all, we want to have an impact on our customers, and that means also that to make our customers more competitive, help them to do the digitalization process. And then in the organization, we really need to have empowered people. And it's funny, I don't know, even I understand a little bit Bahasa. I don't know if you have a word for empowered. In Denmark, we don't have a word for empowered people. You have to use more words for it to explain it in Denmark. But basically, we need to have employees who is able to influence their own job situation and can make decisions. And I think that's perhaps the short meaning of empowered. And I think also an empowered is that if you work in Siemens, you should be engaged and dedicated, and all this a little bit in the empowered people. Then the technology with purpose, and we'll come back to that one. That is super important, that the technology we are developing shall make a difference for society. It have a purpose. And I have mentioned that for example, the transformation in the green direction. You probably know that in European Union, we have decided that we want to cut CO2 emission with 55% until 2030, also in 9 years. And in Denmark, we went a little bit further. We said we would, until 2030, cut CO2 emissions with 70%, and that, of course, a part where Siemens can play a role. Then the last one, the growth mindset. I think that is super interesting. That's about that both in our personal life and also when we work, we have to develop all the time. Life is one long learning, where we so this to think that education is only when you finish your university and you are 24 years ago, and that's all good. I think we will have to also, because change are going so fast and digitalization is coming, so we will all need to say, okay, that it's a it's a lifelong learning process we will go through, and learning will continue. Good. Coming to this, our call it slogan, technology to transform the everyday, and that actually fits good into our digitalization topic today. As you can say, that digitalization are changing the world. And how is digitalization changing the world? First of all, we see new business models coming up. It's a little bit interesting. I'm 55 years old, so when I think back, for example, music was something you was owning. You was actually buying music, then you had it. And how many people are buying music now? Probably nearly nobody. Everybody have a kind of subscription where you pay when you are listening to it, or you pay for borrowing it, or you perhaps even don't pay at all, because there's so many other options where you also can listen to it. But it's a good example that you actually get things in a new way, and meaning that instead of having something, you are just paying when you're using it. I'll come a little bit back to that. It is as a service, and now we have music as a service. And we will see that in more and more areas coming up where things will be as a service instead of you having it. And you say, what do that have to do with digitalization? Yeah, but you know, in the old days, you did not have the opportunities that you could have things as a service where you were paying for it when you were using it. We also see it very in the software now. where instead of buying software, you are just getting the software and then you are paying for the software in a subscription model. And this actually have a lot of advantages also, because then the software will change all the time because it'll be updated. So it's not just the originally software; it will be changing. So new business models is coming out of digitalization. We can also see that things are going more fast, and things also get more flexible. And digitalization also gives an opportunity for us to make higher quality, and also to be more efficient. Then there is one area which I think is simply a cornerstone when we talk digitalization, and that is security. Security, as you can only have digitalization if everybody trust that your data is safe, that nobody breaks in, that if you are, for example, doing your design of your products in a digital way, in a digital twin, and that it will work and it's safe and it works, and there's not a hacker coming in taking your data and ask you to pay Bitcoin to release it again. So this IT security is more important than ever, and in Siemens we invest heavily in it, and also as a society, as the Danish country, we really invest heavily in IT security, because it is a game where you also see more and more attacks. So this to have IT security is simply a precondition for being able to take the full advantages of digitalization, and it cannot be underestimated. Good. There was one thing that I talked new business model, and there the world are changing. That IoT, and what is IoT? IoT is Internet of Things. And the interesting thing is that when we started to be connected to the internet, it was very much a person who connected the PC, or later we connected our smartphones. But what we see now is that it's very much products which is connected to the internet, and that is a very interesting development. And you could say, where would it actually stop? Could we have a future where everything was more or less connected? Even our shoes was perhaps connected to the internet, so we automatically got an information when our shoes needed to be changed because they was getting too old. Because the information, when we wasn't close to a Wi-Fi, then there would be send a signal back to the producer of the shoes that now these are older, you should change them. Of course, there is some cost about connecting a product to the internet, but it's interesting. I was just recently been changing some equipment in my house, and I could see that many of the equipment now coming into the kitchen and this stuff is also connected to the internet. And Siemens, by the way, the Siemens brand is also used when you are buying a washing machine or a dishwasher, and the reason for connecting that is actually that you can get data back, and then if there is a problem with it, it's more easy to give service to it. So I think we will see that more and more things around us will be connected to the internet. What is also interesting is when things get connected to the internet, then suddenly you also can have new business models. And let us think about it, that if a company is selling a big pump, then in the old days this pump had to be sold to one, and they had to buy it, and then they gave money for it, and then they put the pump in operation to pump water, for example. But now you could make a model instead where you were not buying the pump, you was buying what the pump is doing, pumping water. So you just got the pump, and then with the IoT where the pump was connected, then it was sending data back to the company. How much have you been pumping? How much have you been using the pump? And then you are billing after that. And that's interesting, because you can say that's a totally new way of both actually having a revenue recognition and a totally other way of of having a revenue stream, because instead of you're selling a machine or a product one time and you get the money, by the way, it changed also the cash flow dramatically. So there's a lot of work in for that one for good accountings. So instead you sell it, and then you get a revenue stream coming every time the customer is using the machine. And then you could say, okay, how big is that actually, that perhaps in the future you will not sell a pump, but instead you will just sell what the pump are doing as a service. Yeah, it is pretty big, because if you first are in and you have sold a pump as an example, and then it's you, then when the pump gets old and have to be changed, then the producer will just change it, and then the model will have a tendency to continue. In the old days, when the pump was old and should be changed, then perhaps you could also change the producer of it. But now it's a little bit of it and another kind of selling, and it's another kind of model. So that is the IoT, that we will see that the machines and pumps and all this will there will more be a revenue recognition when you are using it more than when you are selling it. And that is because the digitalization make that possible. Then you have the digital twin. The digital twin is also super interesting. The digital twin is about that everything physical will have a digital twin. And I can give you an example. I have an iPhone, and my iPhone have an Apple ID. An Apple ID is basically a digital twin of my telephone, because there is all the information in my physical iPhone. And if I'm so unlucky that I lose it outside, then I can just easily get a new iPhone up running, because I just buy a new dumb physical thing, and then I just download my digital twin, and then I'm up running. And you also see it with more and more products today, that when you design a new product, then you actually first make the digital twin of it, and then afterwards you make the physical copy of it. And I think what is so interesting to think about with this digital twin is, what is actually the most important one? Is it the digital twin, or is it the physical one? And there we must say it's the digital twin which is an important one, because as the example with my iPhone, you can easily reproduce my iPhone as long as I have all the data, the digital twin of it. And then you can say, if you then combine the two, Internet of Things with digital twin, it's really have the potential to change the world, and especially also for business, because business models will change. Instead of selling something, we will sell it as a service. And at the same time, we will also see that that the digital twin also have an enormous potential. Now, I was giving you that example that with the pump. So let us continue in the pump. We have a pump, and then this pump is connected to the internet, and then there's a problem with the pump. Then this data is sent back, and then you can have a look into it and say, okay, do we need to change the pump? But you can also use these data from the pumps you have out running to update your digital twin, so tomorrow you can produce a better pump based on the experience you have for the pumps you already have running. So it means that there is an enormous potential in it. I was not long ago, I was hearing to a professor talking about this with as a service and IoT and digital twin, and he was actually stating and that this really have a potential to create many new companies, and it also have a potential to kill many companies as we know it, because if you are not fast enough perhaps to make the transformation to going into these new business models, you could suddenly be in a situation where you will not be that relevant anymore. So it's both a big opportunity for many companies, but it is probably also a threat that other companies then will do it for you. Good. To give a little bit more information about this digital twin thing, before it goes into that one, there was one thing I also talked with Citra about, and that is this: how much will IoT and digital twin and all this and all the digitalization coming in for example, changed the need for accountant people, for economists, and this, and I'm actually not sure that will change so much. If you think into the transaction, that instead of selling a product, you actually more sell a transaction based as a service model. I think that perhaps even will do that the companies have to be even stronger in the way they are operating with cash flow. Cash flow is actually can be a little bit, because the old days you got the money in, everybody was happy. Now you'll get the money in perhaps per month going forward. And there will also be a lot of billing activities, which of course have to be done automatically. But I cannot see that makes the demand for smart people in accounting and in sales and in economy in general less. And as I just told you, if you take Denmark, which is among the 1 or 2 or 3 most digitalized countries in the world, we actually see that it more creates jobs than it actually take jobs away. It's a little bit interesting because it also creates new jobs. And if I shall give a short comment to that one, if you think about what some people are having of jobs today, some people are, for example, web designer or interface UX designer, and there's a lot of new jobs which, if you just go a few years back, nobody have been knowing about them. So there's also a tendency that it creates new jobs. Good. Back to so I don't think we should be nervous that we will end up having nothing to do when now all the digitalization come. I think digitalization, if we are used correctly, it can make it a more wealthy and a more efficient society, and it does not mean that it takes jobs away. We've also seen it in the production area, where you have put in many robots and a lot of automation, and still you actually have many jobs in that area also. Good. The digital twin of a product is that when you make a product, it could be the pump, if we should be in that one. Then you design it in a software, and some of this is actually super interesting. It started actually many years ago in the 80s, where you, for example, were saying to make a flight and then find out that it's not flying very well. It's a problem. So why not actually design a flight in a software, design it, simulate it, and then afterwards build it. And now you are doing it with nearly all products you are building. You are actually building them first in a digital twin, in a virtual product, and then after sometimes it will be into a physical product. Now, how am I doing with the time? I really like to talk about this. Okay, I'm still like pretty okay. It's good to know, because this topic here, I could talk for hours, but then you'll probably all leave me, and I will sit here alone, and that would be so boring. Good. EVITA is laughing, so it's good that you're still keeping it going there.
Yeah.
Good.
Still have plenty of time, sir. Don't worry.
Okay, good. I'm giving an example here about when you are using this kind of software, where you can design different products, and then you can simulate the products and see how will they work in real life. And this kind of software is simply the way you design your products on. And what is good about this way of designing products is also that now we have talked about this, that everything get digitalized, meaning that we have that when you order a product, you will order a product many times on the internet. Then very often the products will actually be produced when we are ordering it. And if you have it totally digitalized, it's much more easy to make a digitalized ordering process, because then you already have the product breaking down and have it in a digitalized way. Then you produce the product, then you send it to the customers, and then you're billing them. And the Germans, and now I'm a little bit like half German, as working in a German company, and also been working in Germany many years, they actually invented this Industry 4.0. And many of you have probably heard about Industry 4.0. And it's a little bit what we are talking about here, that now we had 4 industrial revolution. The first one was, by the way, steam. And then we have electricity, and then we started to have automation. And now we have this more integrated digitalization area. And I know in Indonesia, you also works a lot with these topics. How is it you have Indonesia? Is it 5.0 or 4.0 or which is a little bit also working with this thinking also. So therefore, it is this totally integrated digitalization, from developing a product to putting a product into production, from ordering a product and getting it delivered. So yes. I have another example here, and that is the production part, because what we will see is that you'll also have a digital twin of your production, and we will see that digitalization is more and more used to when you build a factory or a new company, you will also simulate how to build it and how to use it. And it's not only to build a new one, it can also be you take an existing one. And I have also a little bit of a movie I wanted to show here. That comes later here. But this is actually a good example about how all this gets integrated. And then yes, that is the real production. How you how actually when you then have it up running, as when your production is up running and you have made your digital twin of your production, you have made your digital twin, and then you have the real production afterwards, where you also it will still be a combination where you will send data back to your twin, digital twin. And that is the interesting thing, is that in this world you will have a digital twin of nearly everything. By the way, if I should be a little bit in that one, I asked my healthcare colleagues recently and say, when will there be a digital twin of us as a person? So when we are born, then you make a digital twin of a person, and then you update it. And this way you could perhaps predict things about that, because the thinking about this is that if you get data back from a running product or a running automation, then you can predict, is everything going as it should, and could you actually also do the same with persons? So and then when we got to the doctor and they get some test, then it was put into a digital twin, and then that was calculated. A digital twin, by the way, is just a mathematical model. So it's not that super advanced. It's just a mathematical model of the real world. So good. Let us continue a little bit for the one we have talked about before, and I think this is perhaps the most important. As we as companies work with digitalization, and also when we as a consumer work with digitalization, then it's so important that we can trust the data. The cybersecurity is so important, and here again we have to, all digitalization we are doing, there we simply need to make sure that it's safe, and that is a kind of fight every day, because hackers and people who wants to steal data is getting better and better. So we as the companies also have to get better and better to protect the data and make the society and our customers and ourselves safe. And there we have different action areas, and we also have been going together with a lot of other big companies around the world to work with IT security, because we can only do that. One thing I have not mentioned, and probably you don't know it, but Siemens is among the 10 biggest software companies in the world. I admit that some of the bigger one like Microsoft is bigger than us in the software area, but Siemens is a top 10 software company. So the total software area is super important for us. Good, then you have the real product where you also get information back. That's a little bit interesting, because I think that could have an impact of all of us. that a product we are having will be sending data back to the producer of it, and this way the product will change, and it will also be improved. And it could also be that there was something that we talked about before, that perhaps the billing or the revenue stream would be coming from the product when we have it. We don't pay for it when we get it, we pay when we are using it, like we see now in if we are watching Netflix in the evening, a little bit the same model, that you are not paying for a movie to have it. You're actually looking at it, and then you're paying when you're doing that. So and you typically do it, by the way, with a subscription model where you pay per month. Good. Then there was one thing about all these IoT. In Siemens, we have developed our own IoT system. We call it MindSphere. But there's basically 3 companies in the world who really works a lot with IoT and these connection points. There is Microsoft, which have a system named Azure, which is heavily used. Then you have AWS, Amazon Web Service, which is super big in this areas about IoT. And then you also have, we should also mention that, Alibaba, coming out of China. And what we have done here is that we have said, okay, to make it more easy, we have built a platform on top of Microsoft Azure and AWS and Alibaba. And then we have said, okay, and not depending if you where you are in the world and what people prefer, then this platform will work. And then the motor will be Microsoft, Amazon, or Alibaba. But it is about getting our products and our customers' product connected, so we can make new business models, and we also can make a new way of working. Good. There was one thing I have also mentioned to you. Now it gets a little bit complicated here. Was this continuous improvement thing? Said that is a little bit the interesting dream, and what everybody hopes for is that you get data back from the products you already have out running, and on that information you are improving your virtual product, your digital twin, and then you can produce a better product tomorrow. One thing which is also in that one is, of course, you can also get the billing data back. How much is the customer using this? And then you can send a bill, and think about how much that actually also will change everybody works. And now we are, there's a lot of accountants also in here working with accounting, that the total way of recognition of revenue, cash flow, and all this will change. And I don't think it will be there will be less work, but of course a lot of it will also be automated. But you'll still need people who really works with it. Good. That was actually my presentation here, and I think I'm more or less hit these 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and I had to control myself a little bit. It's super interesting to talk about digitalization. I think that if I should take a closing remark, is that I think that it's when change is coming, and change is coming all the time, and digitalization is one of these changes. We also have seen that if we go back to the first industrial revolution, when we had steam was coming, electricity was coming in the second industrial revolution, then I think that if we want to be successfully, both as a company and also as a society, Indonesia, then we need to take the best out of digitalization. And I think if it's used correctly, there is a good potential in it that we can be more efficient. And if I should come back now, I started up to tell a little bit about that. We make technology with purpose, where it is that we want to make we want to make society better and have a purpose into that one. And there I think also that digitalization can also help for us to for example, cut CO2 emissions. So this way, I don't think we have there's much to be nervous for. but there's many opportunity, and there's of course also threats if we are too close to adapt the new opportunities, or if we don't have the security part under control. But under that precondition, I think that it can actually make many things better and more easy, and also have the potential to create better jobs and a better world, because some jobs can be automized where it's very much repeating, and these kind of jobs will of course to some extent be replaced by digitalization, but then there will be created new jobs. So all in all, I'm pretty optimistic, but we need to embrace it, and we need to integrate the digitalization. So that was my closing remarks. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, BJARNE, for such a mind-blowing presentation. I think especially my students have a lot of things running in their heads to be asked you, okay, in how the digitalization is implemented and affecting many aspects of the company's life, especially, and as accountant also we have to adapt and embrace this changing. Okay, since the presentation by Sir BJARNE has finished, then I will invite the audience to give the question. Actually, I already make some announcement in the chat room, okay, that saying that if you have any question, you can put the questions in the chat room. But I think they would like to ask you directly, Sir BJARNE. Okay, okay. So the first question comes from Jose Santoso. Okay, Jose, would you please turn on your camera?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so please directly ask the question to Sir BJARNE. It's such a rare opportunity, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, by the way.
Okay. By the way, Sir BJARNE, Jose is one of my students. He's very bright and excellent in the class.
Great to hear.
Okay, please, Jose.
Okay, so I want to ask, I have two questions. Number one, how do you think that digitalization would change and streamline the process of making financial reports, and how it would also change the audit process in the future? Or do you think that technology would only impact the process of product design? Thank you. That's my first question.
I think yes, it's a super good question. I think that it will influence and more or less all transactions in a company, and if the interesting stuff is that you said there's a two-part into it, regarding the ERP system and the way we are doing financial reporting, the way we are billing our customers, the way we are having that. Then I think that a lot of this digitalization have already been done. As now I mentioned the SAP ERP systems, and there's many of them where you already see that a lot of this is done automatically, and today you can say that digitalization in this ERP area and the financial reporting started years ago and have actually been going on for some years, and there I think of course there will probably be even more automation done to it. But on the other hand, it was one of the areas where you probably more or less started. And today it is very much automated. I work in Siemens, and I'm always I'm not that much in our finance and our accounting department, but I'm always so amazed that only a few days after we have closed a month, then everything is there, and actually it's all the numbers is there and everything is done. And then of course the financial reporting is done more or less automatic. That doesn't mean that you don't need smart people to make sure that it fits, and And that is the other comment into it, that regarding the other part of the digitalization, for example, you design your products in a digital way, you have IoT, so instead of the customer is buying your product, then the customer will pay as a service, meaning that he will pay every time he uses it. This kind of model will perhaps use that our financial reporting have to think in how do we do this, because that's a change. You don't sell your product anymore, you has it as a service. It will change many way about your financing structures, your cash flow, and this. So this kind of business model change could perhaps create an even more need that we need to make sure we do that in a correct way.
Okay, you say, I think you have a second question, right?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you, sir, for the answer for my first question. So, and for my second question, would technology change only the process of product design only, or would the technology also integrate the process of would combine the process of market research into the product design process? So would the technology be integrated, sir?
Yes, I think I understand you like that. That's saying that now when you can have more digitalized information, as if people buy products online, you sometimes also learn more about your customers, and can you use these data to build into your product design? And you're so right about that. That's actually a very good question, because I think that is exactly what is going on. And we talk Industry 4.0, which is, by the way, this German invention, or let us call it the concept is coming out of Germany. They actually very much to say that this feedback loop will be much stronger. So if a company can see that there is some preferences in the way people are ordering, then it will automatically also change the offerings and the product you are doing. So you're actually right that these digital twin models have two purposes. It can, of course, change if you get some feedback that you have some technology you have to change to make your product better. But we also have that the feedback for consumers which are ordering your product, these information can also be used. And I think a great example on that one was that not long ago I was visiting BMW factory in Munich, in Germany. And I think they told me that only 1 or 2 times every year they produce the same car. Meaning that now, because people was selecting their own car, and then it was a totally individual car people was delivering. Some cars was probably pretty close, but then there was a difference in the seats or the colors or something like that. And that gives a good example about that. What we also will see is that products will be more customized. It will be more a product to exactly you, who fits your needs, because you have this, when you feed that back, you can actually produce very much individual product. So both, yes.
Okay, Jose, any further question?
I think that's all from me. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jose, for participating in our discussion today. Okay, anyone else? Actually, perhaps actually, when there's no questions being asked by a students, we can pointing one of 2 students to give the questions. Okay, perhaps I will see the participant list.
Now it gets
okay. And then please,
funny. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, Miss Evita, there's one raised hand, I think.
Okay. Which one is
Who's
it?
It's me.
Oh, Sasti.
I'm doing the raise.
Okay.
Is it allowed? Am I allowed to ask a question?
Of course.
Yes.
Please, Miss Aski, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bjarne. It's a very interesting topic, because digitalization has become more critical in the recent years. I would like to ask so many questions, but I think this one question, it's regarding the sustainability, because you mentioned earlier that there wasn't something that needs to be worried about. But I would like to ask on how to ensure the sustainability issues regarding digitalization, especially in your company, Siemens Denmark, or maybe in Siemens as global, what your company has done to ensure this issue. Because of course, with all the technology and automatization would also affect directly to the environment. And as we know, based on the fact that industry has become major contributor in emission carbon, and there's a prediction of climate disaster in 2050 if this issue has not been resolved, I would like to know what your company has done in maybe in your sustainability report, because in 2030, the FRC, I think, has developed the sustainability report to become not only greenwashing issue something. I think that's the question for me. Thank you so much, Dr. Bian and Mrs. EVITA PUSPITASARI.
Thanks,
Okay.
thanks a lot, Saskia. And I think it's a super good question, because we all know that when we are using digitalization, there's actually also an energy consumption to you using digitalization, and it doesn't matter if it's in our companies or if it's like a private consumers. There have actually been a lot of discussion about, for example, bitcoins, which is due to the blockchain technology which is behind bitcoins, is very, very energy consuming. And at the same time, you think you have a good point that we all have a task here also regarding the UN's work and on this, that we have to get CO2 emissions down. And in Siemens, we are doing two things. One is that we have an ambition that we want to be CO2 neutral by Siemens, and we are doing a lot of activity inside the company to be that. But that is one thing, and that is perhaps the smallest thing. The biggest thing is that we want to help our customers to make electricity without making any CO2 emission. And you can do that in different ways. You can of course use solar. You can do wind. You can use wind turbines, and then you can discuss: shall we use battery technology in the future, or shall we more use hydrogen as our society? And there we are doing a lot of research in different technologies, putting them out in the market. We are totally convinced that we need fast actually to have a global world which is a CO2 neutral. So this transformation, I think Siemens have both good opportunities to help, but we also have a big responsibilities. What I think is good about this, I mentioned in the beginning, is also that the European Union have decided this, that until 2030 you have this 55% reduction. And we also see that Denmark have going a little bit further with 70%, but we also a little bit of a special situation. We are the biggest producer of wind turbines in the world in Denmark, and a lot of our electricity actually, many times, for example, in the night now, all our electricity is produced by wind turbines, and we are building it up heavily, the capacity. And I think it's interesting thinking that we will need electricity to do digitalization. So we have to make sure that electricity is produced in a renewable way without having any CO2 emission. And I think we have a common task there as companies, as persons and countries around the world. And the way digitalization actually can help about this is that that many things can be done in a more efficient way, and their technology like digitalization can help. And also this is a good example. Instead of we are driving and flying to meet, then we are doing it here online. Is also a kind of technology helping to cut CO2 emissions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bian. As you mentioned, with great power, of course, comes great responsibility. Yeah. And I really wish that what your company has done also implemented in Indonesia, because we have a lot of issues regarding that with sustainability and, of course, environmental issues. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Saski. I think someone has contacted me through WhatsApp to also want to ask question to Sir BJARNE. Okay, Brian, are you there? Hello.
Yes.
Brian.
Hello, Miss. Hold on, Miss. Hold on, ma'am.
Okay.
I will give you a question, Sir BJARNE. Thank you, for FEB Unpad that give us the international general lecture. First of all, so I would like to ask you a question. As we know, Indonesia has a great impact of digitization, especially at this COVID-19 moment. And digitization, as we know, make us and all of companies on all of the world must to adapt all the new regulation and new way to make a better performance. First of all, I want to ask your opinion, sir. From your opinion, how about Indonesia digitalization from this moment? Is there more better, or is there
backward,
more challenging like that? And can you explain a lot benefit came along with the digitalization? In your opinion, are there negative effect for the digitalization? Thank you, sir. And thank you for Ma'am Evita for giving me an opportunity for asking Mr. BJARNE.
Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Yes, thanks for the question. And I think it's actually a super good question, because I think probably all countries around the world is in the moment thinking, okay, digitalization, there's no doubt that this will change the world we are. It have already done very much. And how strong is a country in taking the full advantages out of digitalization? And I must say, I know that there is a lot of activities going on in Indonesia, and the government also have many activities to take all the advantages out of digitalization. I would actually say that I think in Indonesia should have a good chance. You also you are a country where digitalization can really give you a lot of benefits. In Denmark also consists of a lot of islands, and in Indonesia you just have much more islands than we have here. So it means that Indonesia have an opportunity here that connect the country in another way I've been able to before, because everybody perhaps don't need to live in Jakarta. People can live in different cities or even in remote areas and then still work. So this way it can also have a good impact on the country structure. I think that it's also, as my impression is, and I think we actually talked about it before, to have you need to have a digital infrastructure. You need, of course, to be able that everybody can connect to the internet. And I know it's a little bit different from area in Indonesia, but my general impression is that it's pretty okay. And here I'm mostly both based on my own personal experience when I'm also there and see can I get a 4G or 3G connection, and how is the internet when you are having in a hotel and this and that. I think that there's probably still a lot of work to do. It's also a super big Indonesia is a super big country. But I must say, I think the potential for digitalization in Indonesia is big. And you could also ask yourself and say that we all know that India have been pushing this very much, and a lot of, for example, programming in the world is now done in India. And why could that not also be done in Indonesia? So I think there's probably a lot of business opportunities in this. And then how is it now? Is it Indonesia 5.0 or Indonesia 4.0? Indonesia 4.0, I think there is an initiative.
Yeah, still 4.0.
Indonesia 4.0.
Yes.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes. and I think this is a good initiative where you try to see how can you really use it. And then, by the way, I think we all think COVID-19 have been super annoying, but it have probably learned everybody around the world to use digitalization much more. And I know in Indonesia it have also been a big step forward. Talking about COVID-19, in Denmark there is no restrictions at all regarding COVID-19, and life is totally back to normal. And so there I think we could be a little bit optimistic. That will probably also come back to Indonesia. So we even have big football matches with 50,000 or 100,000 people, and very little corona, by the way. So, but in Denmark, it also helped a lot to more digitalization. I'm sitting now here in my summer house out on the countryside, having this meeting with you, and I also sometimes work from here. So, so basically, I think digitalization is an opportunity for Indonesia, and of course, there are probably some work to do regarding the infrastructure.
Yes, agree. Okay.
Yes, I'm agree with your opinion. Thank you, Sir Bjarne, for your answer. It is a pleasure for me. That's a very good answer, and I hope, and we hope that the digitalization will make the good environment for working or activity for people or all of the companies in the whole world. Thank you. That's a good statement.
Thank you. Thank you. By the way, now I talked about this comparing Denmark and Indonesia. Do you know that Denmark and Indonesia have exactly the same size?
Some facts?
It's the same size area.
Oh, some size. Yes, yes.
Of the countries. Yeah. The reason is that Denmark, the Royal Kingdom of Denmark, also include, for example, Greenland, which is the biggest island in the world. So if you add that all together, then we have exactly the same size. So it means that we have enormously a lot of water, and around our countries, like you also have in Indonesia, we also have that in Denmark. But the difference is, of course, it's a little bit more cold here, I can say. And, yes, and then we are no people, because we are only 6 million people in this enormous land.
And we have about 250 millions in Indonesia.
Very few.
Yeah, a quarter. less than yeah, itu how many percent ya berarti? Only about berapa? 250. Only 40%, yeah.
2% or something like that is, yeah. So, but also, yeah.
So the people in Denmark is equal with the citizens of Jakarta only. So
yeah, I think
oh my God.
I think there's so even Jakarta much more people in Jakarta, because I think that Jakarta is probably around 12 million or something. So there's much more people there. So. But it of course also because of Greenland. Greenland is a super big island. It is the biggest island in the world. Australia is, by the way, bigger, but Australia is not an island. It's a continent, yeah. But it's not that far away actually in size.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bjarne. And we still have a lot of times, okay, for the question and answers session. And this one is a friend of mine. Miss Nusratun Niza, okay, would you please turn on your camera, Nisa? Hello?
Hello, wait. Good afternoon, can you hear me?
Hello? Hi, okay.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you? Nisa is we entering the college at the same year, but
okay.
Study program. Me in accounting study program. Nisa is a management management study program. Okay, please, Nisa.
Super. Great to
Okay.
meet you.
My question is this. I hope you can hear me quite clearly.
Yes, yes, I
Loud
can.
and clear.
Thanks.
Loud and clear.
Okay. So my question is like this. I'm running a small business. My business is giving service of an English course. Before the pandemic, 100% all the service was presented offline. With the pandemic, 100% of our service is online.
What
with the help of
a great
course,
transformation. What a great transformation from 100% to one and then 100% the other.
yes, that's because the possibility of this is like opening the offline of bring many risks. So we haven't decided whether we are going to open it or off. I'm thinking of with the way of we provide our service. Turn out that our customers are also changed. We don't only cater the customers from the same city, but we also cater customers from different cities. Like we're doing now, I'm a conversation in Bandwidth, you are in. So my friends and I are thinking of changing this business. So we are thinking probably like even the pandemic, we cannot say the pandemic, even when pandemic is over, we are thinking of still opening the online, giving the online. So I would like to ask for suggestion. What should we consider? What kind of digital transformation or what kind of digitalization aspects that we have to consider when we are going to change the way of our business, even the pandemic is over? I think that's my question, Professor. Doctor, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nisa.
Super.
Stay healthy.
Thanks. And thanks. If I understand you correctly, it's also like that because of it's now online, then you are simply unlimited where you can sell your English courses. So you can not only sell it in one city, you can sell it in more cities. And by the way, you could even sell it globally. Because it will be an online course, and I think it's super good. Thanks for the question, by the way, because it also tells a little bit what is with digitalization is that it makes the world change because the geographical things doesn't matter anymore. You can sit one place in the world on one city, and then suddenly you are able to conduct teaching all over the world, and you can also say you could sell a product. You could suddenly, instead of only selling a product in your local area, you can sell it all over. And before I answer your question, there's one thing which is actually, if you should say, that could be a little bit scary about digitalization. And then I don't know if you know ABBA. ABBA is a Swedish pop music group, very old.
I know ABBA.
Oh, you know ABBA?
I know that.
I know.
Oh, we are old generation, sir.
Okay, good, you know it, yes. But ABBA, by the way, they have just come with new music. You know, we are a little bit, we are very close to Sweden. Sweden and Denmark is neighbor country, no? But ABBA not come with new music. But ABBA have some music. The name is The Winner Takes It All. The winner takes it all, and why I'm now quoting ABBA, The Winner Takes It All, is that is also a thing about digitalization. That there is a tendency that the winner takes it all, and that is interesting by you, because if you do super good and in your online courses, then you are able suddenly to go into other places where you not have been before, and if you are good, then you can actually take the business out of your competitors, and suddenly you are the only one in Indonesia who was having Bahasa English courses online, because you were actually able to compete with everybody all over. On the other hand, you could also have another risk that somebody thinking like you, sitting in another place, also suddenly could come into your territory. And I think you can really see it because some of these big IT companies we have now, like Amazon, like Microsoft, like Google, these companies are actually extremely huge, also compared to what we have ever seen before in the world. And the reason why they can be so big is, of course, because you can scale fast. And also coming to you can scale fast when you do things digitally. Netflix is another example. They scaled super fast. So digitalization have a little bit, quoting again the ABBA song, a tendency that the winner takes it all. And in your business, if you are good and you can roll out this and do it online also after the pandemic, I think there will be a huge potential in it. And I guess that it is actually also a good example that there's an opportunity to do that now you can do it online and then you can go into new cities or new areas. But there's also a threat that somebody else do it. so it's a little bit like both an opportunity and a threat. And for Siemens, we are even Siemens is a huge company. Then you still have to think about that in this world here, you have to be super fast and actually be aware that somebody can also suddenly scale fast and come into your business area in this area of digitalization. So thanks for bringing this up, and I think it's a good plan, and you should probably go for it. Because the other option is probably that somebody else could come after you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Perhaps we can say that pandemic is catastrophic, right? The impact is catastrophic, but in some way, the pandemic is becoming some kind of the milestone. I think in every country that in prompting the digitalization, right, Nisa,
Yes.
including
Yeah.
Yes.
If I may add, for the pandemic, in terms of education, in education world, using the digital tools, digital application, etc., were not something that we used to do.
Yes.
But in these 2 years, almost 2 years, we kind of like running, being mastering all of digital learning, digital tools, so we are able to provide our service. So I guess there is also probably there is like a proverb here when my friends and I talk. Teachers are gaptek. How do we say gaptek in English? Yeah,
Outdated in technology, very old ways.
but now teachers are many teachers are becoming high tech, like that.
Yes. Okay, you have to adapt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And one thing about this teaching online, I think actually it's not that easy. It's really a skill you have to learn, and we all sitting here, many of us do teaching, and it's not super easy. And I know in Denmark we also had a period of time where everybody was teaching online, and to be honest, I think everybody was starting to get a little bit tired of it. You probably have the same in Indonesia.
I have to change my glasses since before the pandemic and after the pandemic. The size of my glasses have to be increased, both for reading the materials and also for
far-sighted. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then also it is not that easy to keep the concentration over a long time when you sit online. I think that online teaching will definitely be used much more. We have learned that during the pandemic that it works pretty okay, but there will still also be a significant need, if I must put it like that, for in-person teaching, because it is also super difficult. And I know in Denmark it had been heavily discussed, because how many hours can you sit and really concentrate? Yes. And I don't know, then you start to do other stuff instead. I, for example, sit in many online meetings every day, and I like it very much, because sometimes it's much more easy for me to have a 2 hours online meeting instead of flying to Germany or to Sweden But in the other hand, when you have many of them, it's really difficult to keep the concentration, and I think that applies for nearly everybody.
Okay, that's why we in Unpad, I think most of the universities also done the same thing. We are changing to we are transforming ourselves into hybrid university. Even after the pandemic is over, so it means we are going to combine the offline lecturing and also the online, maintaining still the online even the pandemic is over. BJARNE, I think so BJARNE, I think we have the next audience who want to ask you a question. Nofrina Alda, are you there? Hello, Nofrina.
Hello, Miss.
Oh, my internet connection is unstable. Nah, this is also the part of the apa namanya factor affecting the online teaching ini. Nofrina, are you there?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Nice meeting you.
Oh yes, thank you, sir.
Nofrina, are you there?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
Evita.
Please, I have to turn off my camera for a while. Yeah.
Please, Nofrina, you can ask the questions to BJARNE directly.
Good afternoon, Brian. I want to ask two questions. The first is, how does digital technology in manufacturing industry affect the economy? And the second is there any business model for digitalization for small medium enterprise? Because more than 80% in Indonesia economy is supported by small medium enterprise. Thank you.
Yes, I think it is two really good questions. Thanks for that, because if we start with the first one, how is digitalization changing production? Then I think that there have been a tendency, if we take shoes as an example, many shoes have been produced big time in one country, one place in the world. And then the shoes afterwards have been transported around to the rest of the world. And sometimes the problem have been that sometimes fashion have changed. So you have produced 1 million shoes in Vietnam or something like that, or in Indonesia. And then when you start to transport them around the world, then the fashion have changed and the consumers don't want to buy them. So there's a couple of problems in having one mass production of a product. One is there's a risk that something change about the fashion, so you cannot sell them, or perhaps some of them are the wrong size, so you cannot. So there's also a kind of waste into that one. There, I think the production technology will be stay with this digital twin. You can already now get a digital twin of your foot, and when you one time have done that, your feet is not changing during your life. So if you have a digital twin of your feet from now on, then you can order your shoes. You can just take the cool color or the cool brand you want and order it on the internet. And then they will 3D print shoes whose fits exactly to you, and then this will produce. If you sit in Bandung and doing it, the shoes will probably also be produced and 3D printed in Bandung, because that will be efficient. Then you can go and pick up your shoes, and then the payment will be done automatically, or the shoes are just sent to you. So I think it's a good example that what can happen is that very huge mass production will disappear. And then production in the future will actually be smaller, more additive, as a 3D printing, closer to the consumers. So production and consumption will move closer to each other. Then another part of the question, and I think that is super interesting, a bit, how will this change for small, medium enterprises? And of course, you're right. I think in many countries it is like you are describing it in a good way, that most of the companies are small, medium enterprise. And there, what we see is that new technology is actually a kind of an advantages for small and medium enterprise, because let us go back to this, where you can develop a product in a digital way, and then afterwards you can easily produce it. It actually means that the advantages of being super big somehow disappear. Because now you can actually, in a more easy way, just as a small company, actually also develop your product. You can buy the software; it's not that expensive. You can have additive manufacturing, so you can produce it. So I think that that if we together can find a way to make sure that these new technologies is taking into the small, medium enterprise, it will actually give them a huge competitive advantages, because it is not that difficult to do it actually, and they will do that. Some of the advantages big companies have simply disappear because everything gets more fast and more flexible and less costly. So this could be that this could perhaps, that in this case perhaps the Apple song don't fit with the winner takes it all. So so good question. I think small medium enterprise have a huge potential in it, and they also can do it. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. So Bjorn, I think waiting for another questions from the audience. I would like to ask you a question too, relating to the AI, artificial intelligence, in how the Siemens is using the AI in the business process.
Yeah. It's a really good question, and I think AI is a super interesting area. Actually, I was in our research department not that long ago, and I talked with some of our researchers in AI, and then I said to them, could you please define AI for me? And the problem is, it's actually a little bit difficult to define AI, because what you call machine learning? Machine learning is that a machine can learn something. You've actually been having that for many years, that you have an algorithm which, when it gets new input, can do new things. Is that AI? I will probably say it's AI, but it's actually 25 years old technology about machine learning. You have with neural networking a little bit the same thinking into it. But of course, what you see is that more and more systems can learn by themselves, if we put that a little bit like and Siemens works with it two ways. One way we work with it is that we say, okay, can we make this more available for all companies in the world, also the small, medium enterprises we talked about before? So we're actually trying now to produce a little model, which is an AI model, and everybody will be able to buy it. And of course, an AI buy it like a small model is like having a small kid, so to speak. It cannot do much, but then you have to train it, so to speak. So that is the way that I think AI will be possible for many companies to use, and then they can use it, and it can have it can be that you can make a production more smart, because you don't have so much quality inspection, because you have AI helping you. If you combine some information, is the product then in a good quality without actually you have to look on the products? And in Siemens we also use that, and so we have a little bit, we use it ourselves, and we're also trying to make it in an easy way that other companies also can get the advantages about it. Because what we will see with AI or self-learning systems, self-learning machines, that will be more and more normal.
Okay, so still it seems like the brainware is still needed, right, in the digitalization.
Yes, I think that it's many times, as if you say, where do you use AI? As the all discussion will be, should we be nervous that it takes all our jobs? I would not be that nervous for that. And then there's other people who said, should we be nervous for AI, such in general, that it could be dangerous for us? And I must say, I'm. It's coming back to again that AI is very close to a self-learning algorithm system, and even it's pretty advanced at a lot of it. As many of us today, if I call a bank in Denmark, because as I said, we are no people here, only 6 million. So therefore, the banks are like you talk with a computer all the time, and you can see they are developing AI systems, and they're getting better and better. So you can ask them questions, and then they will answer you back. And what is they actually are this AI system, or is it just a system where you have put in some kind of self-learning things? But a lot of it is also that you have trained it, so to speak. But you would say that some of this with these cobots, as you call them, when you talk with it. It's coming a little bit close. You can also say, what is AI? When we're using Google Maps, there's also some AI functionality in it. If it knows that you every day drives a special place, then it's smart enough to then say, okay, now this person is there at this time. It means that he's probably going there. Is this AI or is it just an algorithm? So the definition is also a little bit, but I think probably what we will say is that if the system have a self-learning ability, we'll call it AI.
Okay, it seems so because
and Google have that in many cases.
Yeah. Yes.
By the way.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I asked you the question. I think because I know that almost in every the students find that attending our webinar today, because they already read some research that showing us that especially accountant is one of the profession that will be replaced by automatization using the digitalization and using the work of AI. But I think, in my opinion, still we okay, dear our as accountant, yeah, just also opportunities, right, sir? That to embrace it, we need to what is it? Yeah, the expertise, the skills relating to the digitalization here. Okay, I think the time is nearly up. Mr. BJARNE, thank you very much for your presentation, for your discussion. Okay, I think it's bringing us with more open-minded for our students. And before I give back the session to Ms. Saski as our Master of Ceremony of today, I would like to write down some summary that I have made during your presentation. That this digitalization, which is business transformation, means radical changes, right, sir, for every company. Okay, and yes, every change will come with difficulties. Okay, but still we need to embrace. Okay, we need to adapt. Okay, we must, and if you talk about the corporate, it means the corporate need to rearrange the structures, perhaps rearranging the strategies, rearranging the processes, just like Sir BJARNE says that we will have the new business models that require speed, flexibility, increasing the quality, increasing the effectivity, but still we need to also consider the security, and and don't forget also to mention the IoT, right? Internet of Things, digital twin. I think this is the question being asked by Jose, since using this digital twin in the in the digital twin intertwined with digital products, intertwined with the real production and real product. Starting with the digital twin, at the end, our product, okay, will also provide us not only with the sales revenue, but also with the opportunity to produce us with the new business streamline revenues. But so at the end, it seems like that we as accountant, okay, once again, don't worry with the digitalization around us. Okay, I believe, I just like Sir BJARNE say that me myself have this optimistic that we as accountant will still be needed. Okay, but don't forget the threats that we have to overcome. It means we need to also to increase our expertise, okay, in adapting in order to be adapt with this digitalization. Thank you very much once again, Sir BJARNE, for such
Miss Avita,
okay.
I think there is one more questions in the chat. Do we still have time for one question?
Sorry. Yeah, please, Nur Saliha, are you around?
Yeah,
Still have
actually,
time.
and I also saw the question about this, if a company gets hacked and attacked,
Oh.
and perhaps I can just answer the question then, because I can see it here, and thanks for asking. And I think this is exactly coming into this about security, also mentioned now here, that we simply need to be sure that we make it in a secure way. You will have to use encryption, you will have to use firewalls and this, because if we have a situation where companies, and also saying here, is being attacked, then there will be lost some trust. And you see some country around the world where people don't trust it. And the problem is, if you should take the full benefit of digitalization, then it needs to be trusted. So I think that is simply super important. So that is a precondition, and else people will lose trust in it. Then there's also a question: do you think a new type of accountant will be born after communist digitalization? I think the new type of accountant is probably already born, because as we talked about, that digitalization in financial reporting and the total ERP world have been going on for some years, and with full speed. And there I really think that this will of course continue. I think definitely there will still be a need, and coming back to this, I said that we are going in a direction with new business models. I don't think that will create less work for accountants, to be honest. So thanks.
Thank you once again, Dr. Bjarne. I think we have come to the end of our session. Thank you very much once again for your attention, and thank you again, Sir Bjarne, for your presentation and your discussion. I think I will give the session back to Ms. Saski to go to the next session. Yeah. Thank you very much once again. Stay healthy, stay happy. Good afternoon, selamat sore, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thanks a lot. Terima kasih.
Don't leave.
I stay here.
Sama-sama, Dr. Bjarne. So thank you very much, Mrs. EVITA Puspitасari, and thank you very much for Dr. Bjarne LYKKE SORENSEN for enlightening and insightful section for today's class, as digitalization issue has become more critical in recent years. We also would like to welcome the head of accounting department of Padjadjaran University, Prof. Dr. Ilya Alfianti, SE, MSc, AKCA, CPA. Thank you very much, Prof. Ilya, for attending the general lecture today. Dr. Bjarne, we would like to present a small token of our appreciation. Mr. Chitra would hand it an e-certificate for Dr. Bjarne and our moderator, Mrs. EVITA. Mrs. Wulan will take a picture and announce the timing of the photo. We welcome Mr. Chitra to hand the e-certificate.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Saski. So Dr. Bjarne, Dr. Sorensen, and also Ms. EVITA, I would like to give both of you the token of appreciations from our undergrad programs. Hereby, I give you the certificate of appreciations as a speaker for Dr. Bjarne. And the next is certificate of appreciations. You're most welcome. And then the next, maybe, Ms. Wulan. Yeah. The second is a certificate of appreciation to Ms. EVITA PUSPITASARI as a moderator of general lecture for today. Thank you very much for both of you. It's quite interesting and very fruitful discussion. Next to Saski.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chitra Sukmedilaga. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this session for this general lecture. We are very honored to have an inspiring session with Dr. Bjarne LYKKE SORENSEN, Ph.D. for today. It is indeed a very insightful class filled with a lot of learning and key takeaways that we need to adapt with digitalization in order to enhance many possibilities to reform our current business situation. I hope this session will be beneficial for all the students and audience. On behalf of the event committee, we would like to say thank you again for Dr. Bjarne Lykke Sorensen for today's session, and everyone for participating on this event. It's been our pleasure to host this event, and I wish you all a pleasant day. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure participating.
Thank you.
Looking forward to
Thank
meet you
you.
all again
Okay,
soon.
thank you very
Yeah,
much.
Thank you.
See you soon, Bjarne.
Yeah.
Hopefully to see you in Bandung.
I'll soon be back now. Now Indonesia is opening up for foreign, and then I will come.
Yes.
I will rush my dissertation then.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much
Talk
for
to you soon.
everybody.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum.